Hello, everybody. This is Steve O'Reilly and Gail Saunders with Skinnypost.com. Today, we're going to be talking about the 2-0 teams and the 0-2 teams. Teams that have gotten out to a fast start and teams that have gotten off a little sluggish. Gail, what do you think about the 2-0 teams? There's a couple surprises in there. Who jumps out at you as the biggest surprise in that group?
The biggest surprise, I think, for me was the Kansas City Chiefs. I know I didn't believe they were going to take down the Chargers, but they did. They're all around. They're getting a pretty good lift with the running game. McCluster is huge on special teams. You gotta plug him. But yeah, Chiefs are my surprise team right now.
Yeah, they definitely are surprising. I didn't think that they were going to beat the Chargers on opening day, but like you say, plus you also have to look at Matt Castle. His second year in the system, he's probably a little bit more comfortable. They definitely are surprising at 2-0. But I'm going to go with the Bucks. I'm surprised that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have squeaked out a couple wins early and are on top of that division, tied with the Super Bowl champions. They're playing good ball all around. The running game, Cadillac's running hard. They're getting some production from guys you haven't heard of in the wide receiver game. Mike Williams, a couple guys, helping out and doing some things. So they're my surprise team in the 2-0 group. Now,
well, if I'm going to have another team that's a surprising 2-0, it'd have to be the Chicago Bears. Jay Cutler's played well, and I think under Mike Martz in the new system, it's actually letting Cutler do some things that he's used to doing. He's not throwing interceptions, and I think a lot of the players are buying into it. Matt Forte, with the halfback coming out of the backfield, you look at his numbers. He's getting balls out of the backfield, and the Bears 2-0 beating the Cowboys. That's a surprise.
Yeah, and I'm just a little worried about their offensive line. I don't know how long they're going to hold up. Cutler, there's a couple times that I've seen this year that he's kind of looking at the rush instead of looking downfield. Anytime you get a quarterback who's worried about where that blitzer's coming from, maybe thinking, my guy's not going to pick it up, I don't know how long that's going to hold up. That bears watching as the season progresses. Now let's switch over to the teams that have yet to find a win in 2010. Obviously, there's some big names in there. You got Brett Favre, Tony Romo. Both of those quarterbacks haven't led their team to victory yet. Out of those teams, the Cowboys, Vikings, Lions, Panthers, and the Niners, who jumps out at you as the biggest surprise?
It's got to be the Dallas Cowboys, the media-anointed Super Bowl contenders. I think it's tough to win a Super Bowl, first of all, but when you have everybody and their mother picking you to win the Super Bowl, you have coaches' jobs on the line as well as quarterbacks. I think it's a tough position. It's a lot of pressure, but they're professional athletes, and I think with all that talent, you got to be 2-0. There's a lot of money tied up into that team, and when you look at the money that's been spent on these players, there's no reason they should be 2-0.
And like we had talked about before, in my opinion, I think it just is a reflection of their head coach. They're so talented, but yet they just seem to have that kind of laid-back attitude that, Wade Phillips brings. And I really think that somewhere down the line, if they continue, to falter in these games and not win or get to the pinnacle where everybody sees them getting to, there's going to be a coaching change made. And it wouldn't surprise me to see a type of coach come in that's going to be a little bit more in your face, a little bit more strict, really get these guys focused and bringing out their talent and to a level that it should be at. I mean, if you look at this team, up and down the board, maybe offensive line is the exception, but up and down the board, they are loaded. I mean, they have got just an all-star cast of players at almost every position, except maybe left tackle and maybe on the right side of the offensive line. They're a little banged up. They need some guys to get healthy there. But other than that, they should be winning ball games and easily winning ball games with their roster. So I think they're the surprise team too. The Vikings are definitely right there next to them. That team was obviously a couple plays away from going to the Super Bowl last year. And I have to tell you, Brett Favre looks older to me than he ever has. I don't know. He's underthrowing guys. He's not. His timing is off. I don't think at his age, and I know that he's, a Hall of Famer, and I know the things he's accomplished, and I'm not trying to take anything away from what he's done, but he's got to go to training camp. I mean, he's got to get in there and get on the same page. You know, a guy like Sidney Rice goes down, and now the whole timing with his receivers is a little different than it was last year. But if he was in camp throwing to everybody up and down the roster, including the guys on the practice squad, and maybe even guys that got cut, he would have some timing. He would have that rhythm. I don't see the rhythm right now with the offense, and I think it starts with number 4.
Yeah, I think especially when he makes a statement like he did today, he says he needed some time to gel with the players, and I think that's what you get in training camp. And when you get paid $20 million to be the quarterback and lead your team, that's a statement that you can't make. I just think it hurts with Sidney Rice out, and then you have Percy Harvin with a hip injury. That doesn't look good. If you're going into next week, hopefully he's healthy and can play. But who do you go to? And then there's news of the Vikings looking at Vincent Jackson. So I'm not sure if that's going to go down. It's supposed to happen by Wednesday. If any team that needs a receiver, it would be the Minnesota Vikings. And B squared, as they would like to call him, he is not playing up to par. I think they need for Berrien to come out and play, step up and make some plays with the other guys injured. I think it's with their schedule, it's looking tough.
Yeah, and it's a tough division. The North is, the Bears, like you said, they're playing good, hot quarterback right now. You got the Packers, even though they lost Ryan Grant for the season, which is a huge blow. Aaron Rodgers can light it up, and they're not going to have any problems on offense. Their defense is loaded. They got to start winning soon up in Minnesota, or they're going to be finding themselves behind the 8 ball. You hate to say it's a must-win, going into Week 3, but I think Week 3 might be a must-win for the Vikings, at least to get the confidence going, at least to get a little swagger back and a little bit of, okay, we lost a couple games, no big deal. We probably weren't going to go 15-1 or 16-0 anyway. So if we can reel off 8-9 straight, we'll be fine. And I think that's got to be the mindset.
I mean, the Vikings, they have Detroit next week, but they also have the Jets the following week. Then they play Dallas, Green Bay, New England. Now that's a nice little stretch where they could either go downhill or they can go uphill. But with the way they're looking now, it's looking like they're going to go downhill.